Yo, 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 yo.
Such a hype intro, dude.
You love
I
it?
might not have a shirt on next time we do that.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Welcome to Only Football. We have, as you can see, an intro video. We got a new logo. This is a new, improved version of Only Football, but it's still just Kyle and Rick. So no improvement on the content. Just looks better.
No improvement on the takes. No improvement on the analysis. None
the
of
names,
the good stuff.
pronunciation.
The names, we're still. I don't even know who Kendall is or Kyle. Sorry.
We are watching Monday Night Football right now. I think we're going into 5 minutes left. Colts have the ball, and they need a touchdown. They're down 7. It's been a pretty close game for the most part. Najee Harris is the big story. He had an abdominal injury, and he hasn't returned since halftime, I believe. So this is what I kind of thought this game would be, though. Kind of a close game. I mean, I think the over-under was like 1 point. So, I mean, but what do you, John, that fumble on the goal line really kind of proved to be costly.
Yeah, it's been a rough game for the Colts because they've looked like they're in it most of the time, but the Steelers and Kenny Pickett have just come back into it. And a lot of credit to what Najee Harris did early in the game before he got out because of injury. I think it was an abdominal injury. Yeah. But Kenny Pickett has looked good in the pocket. He's looked like cool, calm, collected pretty much so far. And Matt Ryan, don't get me wrong, he's been pretty impressive as well. He got a touchdown off to Pittman here to get at 17 points. Right now they're at the 7, so they're trying to go 93 yards to tie this game up.
Taking a shot. Oh, he held on to that.
Pittman. What a catch by Pittman. Beautiful. Keep getting me those points, Pittman.
Oh, but there's a flag down.
No, come on.
Hopefully this isn't coming back.
I was going to say, I hope it's not holding.
I didn't see where it got thrown in the backfield
Yep. It's on the defense. So we're good. Let's go. Love it.
That's real what you needed there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Real quick, if you're watching us live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, let us know in the comments what you're thinking of this game so far and what you thought of Week 12, so we can answer some questions, answer some comments, any questions you have, and yeah. Do you want to wait to the end of the game, or do you want to kind of jump into like the turkey games of last week?
We can. What do you think? Do you want to? I say we do the game until we kind of know what direction it's heading in.
I agree. I like that. I mean, there's only 3 and some change left. And it's probably over for a couple of you guys.
Yeah.
Because we are a little bit behind here on the stream. So it's probably just we're probably just behind a little bit. But Matt Ryan, look at his stats. First half, 5 of 13, second half, 14 of 16 with a touchdown and 140 yards.
Wow.
Matt Ryan seems to have just like been revived after that Sam Ehlinger, after he was benched for Sam Ehlinger, and then Jeff Saturday came in. What are you thinking Matt Ryan stays on the Colts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say revive, because they played a pretty bad Raiders defense who everybody scores 20 plus points against. I mean, unless you're the Denver Broncos.
I was gonna say unless you're the Denver Broncos. Oh, that's rough.
Easy. That was a softball. But then they played Philly, which they looked pretty good. That was a physical game, and I think that's what you're going to get out of Jeff Saturday. You're not going to get Mike Shanahan, creative guru, Andy Reid type guy. You're just going to get an offensive lineman. We're going to be physical. We're going to win. We're going to win at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to pound the football. And that was a tightrope.
That was so nice. He's doing it. He's marching them down the field.
But then that first half today just looked like the reason he got benched. I mean, what did you say? 36 yards passing.
And he was like 3 for 14 or something like that.
Yeah, this is a 3-7 football team. So you really, it's hard. It's hard to like excuse that. But like you said, definitely better in the second half and putting together a really good drive right now as they cross the 50-yard line, going into Steelers territory, approaching the 2-minute warning. Colts still have all 3 timeouts. Oh, here goes one now. We'll see who burned it. Was it the The
Was it the Colts?
Steelers. Uh,
It
no,
looks Jeff Saturday doesn't look like he called a timeout.
no, he looks confused. Yeah.
He looks like, where am I right now? And then we got Eric in the comments. All I know, Jonathan Taylor won me my fantasy football. There you go. I got Pittman right now after Najee went down, because I had Najee Harris, I had Freiermuth, and I had Pittman. Pittman got me a touchdown. Najee got me a touchdown. So luckily, with those two combined, I am up 6 points. As long
You're
as
good now.
Well, as long as Freiermuth or Pittman don't fumble the ball, get negative yardage, I think I'm good. So glad Jonathan Taylor's able to do that for you, Eric.
Yeah, they would have to fumble it 3 times, right? I think a fumble's only -2.
Okay, but just my luck.
I know. It's like
In the last two fumble.
Yeah, you have such a hard time. You don't want to
God.
jinx it. You're like, oh no, not until it's over.
Remember, I was gonna say, remember the last time we live streamed? Was it Bills Packers? And I was like, I need Stephon Diggs to get a touchdown. No, it didn't happen, and that's what lost me the game. So
I don't know, man. He still had like 18 points.
But Josh Allen at that point, like, come on.
Oh, a deep shot! Oh, are they? I was gonna say, are they gonna call a defenseless receiver? It looked like he came up and got him pretty good with both arms extended. Not that I'm for those kinds of penalties, but this is the league that, this is what they're calling.
That's true. And I feel like they've been a little softer on those penalties, the defenseless receiver, because I've seen a lot of hits, at least in Bears games, where they're not, they're either catching the ball and getting hit like immediately, or, they're not catching the ball because they get hit, as they're getting the ball. I don't know, but got a pass to, took him out real nice there.
That's
on
a good hit.
Pittman. That's another point for me. Love that.
Point,
I'm up by 7 now, 7.5. Love that. Fourth down here in the fourth quarter. I think they're going to let it run down to 2 minutes.
Yeah. And man, now that we're hitting the 2-minute warning, this would be a fun time to say, and I tagged Sunday Night Football. So last night there was a 10-point game, and the Packers were right about on this spot that the Colts are at. And it was a 2-minute warning, and they had 3 timeouts. So just like the Colts, right? But Colts are down 7, the Packers were down 10. And I said, why not kick the field goal? And then you can kick it off normal, because it's all about field position. Yeah, because you kick it off normal. Let's say that, you made a good point. Well, they would have to get a stop. But it's like, you're going to have to get a stop. We're trying to win. If you're trying to win the game, you're just like, statistically, what are my best odds? But either way, you're going to have to stop the Eagles at some point.
Yeah.
Unless you recover an onside.
Yeah, and I think, and that's a tough one, right? Because you were saying that you're like, they should kick the field goal now, and like you said, kick off normally, or I guess in that situation, you get the field goal, right? Now you're within a touchdown or whatever. Yeah, within a touchdown. Do you kick it off normal, or are you going offside? Are you going an onside kick there?
No, I said you got to kick it off normal. That went into my whole philosophy, because if you kick the onside kick, I'll start with that, and they recover it, which statistically they're probably going to, right?
Yeah.
The numbers say that usually the receiving team will get the onside. Now you got to stop them 3 times, and let's say you do that, they're going to punt it, and that's flipping the field. Now you got to go 90 plus yards, right? Because if they're punting it from the 50-yard line, we'll say that's probably where they're at, or even the 45, that's still 60-yard field goal. They're probably punting the ball, and now you got to go 90 yards, whereas you kick the ball off normal, and you stop them 3 times. Now, a minute 40 is probably on the clock, and you get the ball. Your guy's probably receiving it somewhere around the 35-yard line, and maybe he returns it. That returner had been going off for the Packers, so maybe he busts one up to the 50-yard line. Now you got a minute and a half to go 50 yards. I just thought it made more sense, but you don't see coaches ever do that. Like, you never see like, hey, it's a 2-possession game, let's just get the field goal out of the way now. Because the Packers, they ended up having to kick that field goal, but they did it with a minute left. And it's like,
yeah. And I don't know, man. It's just, and we'll get into that Sunday Night Football game, but I just was not trusting the Packers defense at all during that game, because, man, Eagles walked all over him, as as we got the 2-minute warning here. We got Ryan moving up to the line, 4th and 3. Let's see if they get it. Oh my God, I'm sweating. I'm not sweating. I don't give a shit. Uh, but our boy Chris, one of our buddies, is probably sweating right now with Matt Ryan at 4th and 3.
Go.
Oh, got it.
Got it.
And that's another point for me. Let's go.
And
I love it.
That's what he was designed to do. He just goes off the ball and he tries to find that soft spot. Steelers in his zone coverage, and that's a field play. If you're a receiver, that a lot of that is chemistry and between a quarterback and receiver. It was always going to Pittman. That was designed.
That's his number
completely.
1. That's his number 1.
You see if they take a shot here.
Colts recovered.
And Matt Ryan, he's
Colts
been
recovered.
known to have problems fumbling the ball, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's so weird to see a veteran have these issues. He's not new at football, right? Like, what's the deal this year?
Yeah. Matt Ryan's not new at football whatsoever. That man is veteran. That man's a veteran amongst veterans.
I think I call a timeout there right when the sack happened. Now now you're under a minute.
Oh, he's taking it. Ooh, he's getting to the 30. Oh, did he get it first? I think he got it first.
No, because they're gonna say because where he brought himself down, took himself down, is where they're gonna mark it. So it's gonna be like 3rd and 2.
But that technically wasn't a slide. But I think they touched them.
No, if they didn't touch him, it's man.
What are you doing there?
Call the timeout. Come on, man. You got 3 of them. Let's use some of them. Why didn't you use one on that sack? Regroup with 1 minute and 20 seconds. Call a good second down play.
Dumb. And then you're gonna run the ball? I don't get that. At least run it outside. He was running it right up the middle.
Yeah, I don't know why after that sack they didn't call that timeout, man. That seemed like a really good time to regroup. You have the receivers. I said on that snap, I was like, they might take a shot here because this is the sack. This is the sack. Look how far the receivers are down. Oh no, this is
that was a run. Yeah, that was a rush for him.
But if the receivers are 20, 30 yards downfield and he gets sacked, you got to consider how much time it's going to take. I mean, for just to line back up, you're looking at probably 25, 30 seconds.
Here we go. 4th and 3, 30 seconds left.
We'll see if they do that.
Does he make it or not? Does he make it or not?
Yeah, I think they're going to make it, but they're going to bring a lot of pressure here. Here we go. Picks up the blitz nicely.
No flag. Wow.
And that's your ball game.
That's ball game. Steelers 24, Colts 17.
That's a heartbreaker.
That is, and it's great for me because I picked the Steelers to win this, and you picked the Colts. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I love you, brother, but no, I gotta say it. I gotta rub it in your face.
The Steelers, man, they are. This game was nobody knew what was gonna happen.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Man, that gets us really close. You guys got to stay tuned for our records here.
Not a fan of the clock management down on that drive at all.
At that point, like with Jeff Saturday being a brand new head coach, you kind of give him a little leeway, but also I think he needs a guy now, kind of like Nathaniel Hackett with the Broncos. I think he needs a guy to be able to like manage the game.
You know what? Why? I just don't understand. Like if you and I are watching the game and we have, I don't understand. Like if you've been playing a Hall of Famer, it's like you have to understand like every aspect of the game just from being around it. Like I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of when to call timeouts, and I never played in the NFL, and I just wonder like if they get overwhelmed in the moment.
I think that might be it. To be fair too, I say that he needs a guy to manage the game. He's not calling plays. He's not calling defensive plays or offensive plays. He's never coached other than a high school level. So I feel like he is a little bit more in tune than a regular head coach who has been an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator has been. But credit to the Steelers. I think, what is that? They move on to 4-7 here. They win 24-17. The Colts move on to 4-7-1. Kenny Pickett, they're interviewing him right now. Looks like he had a good game. Let's see 20 for 28, 174 yards, 6 rushes for 32 yards. He looked decent. He looked decent in this game. He managed the game. I think he had a Najee touchdown, and I forget. Honestly, I don't think he had a passing touchdown at all. Let me see. I'm actually checking the stats here. Field goal, Najee Harris touchdown, field goal. Snell rushing touchdown.
We have an amazing fan in the comments that wants to.
All right. Oh my God. I may be late, but
Jets.
Jets.
And for those of you that don't know, that is Rick's wife. Who? What does she get to do now because of that Bears loss? Go ahead.
I don't hate her. I love her. So because the Jets beat the Bears, which we'll get into in a little bit here, she gets to pick my fantasy lineup for next weekend. I forgot to mention it on Big League Chicago. If you guys are tuning in from Big League Chicago as well, I forgot to mention it, but she gets to pick my fantasy lineup for next week. And that means I got to have like a good bunch of good players on the roster. I don't know who she's going to pick.
And you're in a must-win scenario now, but hey, she picked the Jets as her team. Maybe she's got a knack for it, you know?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like she's trolling me. I hate it, but it's also very hilarious and it's great content. So, but yeah, that was Monday Night Football brought to you by Let's Go. She says, let's go. That was Monday Night Football. Hopefully you guys, all Steelers fans happy, Colts fans like our boy Chris that we know, not very happy, but that's kind of what you're getting with the Colts. I think this season there hasn't really been much to kind of be happy about. As far as the Steelers,
join the club.
Maybe wild card, but I don't know. The AFC is a very tough conference, and I don't think. Yeah, you're right. Probably not a wild card.
I'm not entertaining that.
Yeah,
I'll take Cleveland. I'll take Cleveland before I pick the Steelers.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
You got a top 3 running back in the NFL. You got Masseuse coming back this week. I mean, the chances are that they're going to get better this week. With last time we saw Deshaun Watson on the field, he looked pretty damn good. He looked like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. What are we going to get? I don't know. We could talk about that on Wednesday, but let's kick it off now. We'll put that game behind us and we'll start off with our Thanksgiving games. Go. All right, we'll cut that.
Game of the week.
Yeah, I was just about to say you had the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions as your game of the week, and that did not disappoint. That was, after all of the games, and I watched pretty much all of them, that was definitely the game of the week. That was the most fun I've had watching football on Thanksgiving in probably a decade.
Yeah, no, it was 28-25 final score, and it got close because the Lions, to their credit, outscored the Bills in the fourth quarter. Obviously, their defense held. They were able to get the win. You had Josh Allen eating the turkey leg there at the end with Stephon Diggs. What a game. And I had said last episode that they did not travel. That was actually false. They did travel. They went back to Buffalo and then went back to Detroit, which is kind of weird, I thought, in my opinion. But regardless, it worked. Josh Allen looked good. If we were looking at the stats here, let me just pull them up real quick. Josh Allen, 24 for 42, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception, but he did have a rushing touchdown as well. And he went to Isaiah McKenzie and Stephon Diggs for those passing touchdowns. They look better. They looked clean. They looked like, other than that one interception by Josh Allen, which I think may have been a tip pass, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember.
Which one?
The interception by that Josh Allen threw. I can't remember if it was a tip pass or not, or maybe it was in traffic.
I think
something like that.
Yeah.
Either way, he looked better in this game, regardless of the interception. and the Bills defense held, they held the Lions to 25 points. And the Lions, as of recently, have been doing really well on the offense with Goff, with Jamal Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they were at home. But like I said, they were going to continue their losing ways on Thanksgiving, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I think Dan Campbell summed up how the entire country felt about the Lions after the game when he said in the post-game interview, "I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of the way they fought to the end. They're still getting better. We're getting better, but it still stings." And I
Yeah.
mean, it just hit home. Nobody, I feel like everybody kind of wanted the Lions to win.
Mm-hmm.
To It's hard to see like a team put in so much effort and
Yeah.
not get the win.
Yep.
Um, but Buffalo just has a lot more just raw talent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a big story too. Von Miller ends up having to leave
Yeah.
late in the second quarter,
Yeah.
and they said it was some type of MCL thing. It may require surgery, but he said he's going to try to play with a brace on and see how it feels. If
Oh.
he's not able to go, it would require season-ending surgery. So he's just going to put the brace on and kind of see how it feels. So my prayers for Von Miller, obviously a beloved Bronco
Yeah.
and an amazing personality and an amazing leader that I really think Buffalo will need to make a Super Bowl run. So that was kind of the huge blow for
Yep.
Buffalo. But yeah, it was just such an amazing game, amazing atmosphere. Unfortunately, Detroit didn't get the win, but I feel that Dan Campbell's job security just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
That's true, and it really happened. He started getting a more I guess trust from the owners. The owners said at the beginning when they were in the middle of that like losing streak and they were just looking bad, we have trust in Dan Campbell. I was not of the same sentiment at all. I was like, Dan Campbell's going to lose his job at the end of this. But it was really at that moment, almost the following week or the week after that, that I said that they just started getting better, winning. They started beating the Bears. They started being very competitive. Their defense got a little bit better. So yeah, his job security is getting better. And I, now I'm taking it back. I'm eating my words. I'm taking it back. Dan Campbell's going to be the Lions head coach next season. And don't be surprised if the Lions and the Bears go into next season as favorites for the North. I'm just saying they might compete.
Yeah, they might compete, especially with the Vikings. We'll get to that game. Our next game is going to be the Cowboys and the Giants. That was another really good game. After a sluggish first half, the
Yes.
Cowboys kind of kicked it into high gear. And if you look at a lot of the Cowboys games, that's kind of been the theme. Slow start, obviously, exception to the Vikings game, and that's what I was going to
Mm-hmm.
say. But they kind of make those halftime adjustments and they come out and play a lot better in the second half. They've really been a second half team. Mike
Mm-hmm.
McCarthy, post game interview, said there's some stuff we got to clean up. He was referring to the penalties. Dallas is still a heavily penalized team,
Yeah.
and it's easy to forget about that kind of stuff when you get a win. But you think back to that Packers game in overtime where the Cowboys are driving and penalties force them to give the ball to Green Bay and Green Bay gets the win. So when you're playing other good football teams,
Mm-hmm.
playing fundamental football, penalty-free football, clean football, that stuff becomes really important. I am a little concerned. I want to see if Dallas can clean that stuff up because it will matter in December or
Yeah.
in January. It'll start to matter that they're, I think, the second most penalized team.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, Cowboys are still, they can beat you in so many different ways. They can beat you with their defense. They can beat you in the running game. CD Lamb should have been the player of the game. They gave it to Dak, but CD Lamb went off.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. CD Lamb, I mean, 100 yards, no touchdowns, and I think that's kind of the reason why.
Oh, I think
Um,
he caught one though. They didn't give it to him. I don't know. He
you're
one-handed one.
yes,
It,
you're right.
yeah,
But
I saw the replay. I was like, I've never saw the replay and still didn't get it. I was like, wait, why?
yeah,
Wait, he did it. He's like
you're
put
like,
his
no, that was a touchdown. There was another similar touchdown catch on Sunday that they called it a touchdown, where it was like, not only did he tap his toe, but the rest of his, like, almost like his shin was in too, and it touched the ground. And I think that technically counts. But yeah, they called it out, and that sucked. But like you said earlier, the first half was like, oh no, are the Cowboys doing it again, where they're about to lose to the Giants of this team? You know how they lost to oh my god, who did they lose to? That was like,
Philly,
wow, that
the
sorry.
Packers, that they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay Packers.
Oh, okay. I think, what was their most recent loss where we were like, what is this
The
Dallas Cowboys
Packers.
team? Was it the Packers? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was like, oh no, because this first half, I mean, the Giants went into it leading 13-7, and we're like, okay, what's going on? And then, Dak put on a show afterwards. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns there, both to Schultz. And then we had Henderson for another touchdown here there in the fourth quarter. But it looked in that first half to be like, oh no, what's going on with the Cowboys? And then they just like were like, hey, we're gonna shut out the Giants in the third quarter and then hold them to a garbage time touchdown to make it still had 2 interceptions. So yeah, I agree. Maybe CeeDee Lamb should have been player of the game, but is what it is. They all ate turkey that day, and they came out with a dub against the Giants.
Yeah, for sure. And I still got the Cowboys in my top 5, but we'll hit that segment in a little bit. Our next game was, I thought I picked the Patriots. I don't know if you remember. I said, good thing the Vikings can afford to lose 2 in a row, because that's what's going to happen. Give me the Patriots. Yeah. And I was super confident, and Mac Jones had more fantasy points than he's had all season going into the fourth quarter. I mean, they were dialing it up. It was a tight end day. I think there was like 3 touchdowns by tight ends, but that one to Henry that they called incomplete, man, that was highway robbery. I mean, they lost the game by 6 points. They would have won the game.
7
Excuse me.
points.
They lose by 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that would have tied
26.
That would have tied the game right there. He caught the ball, and then he's making a football move, and he extended it. And I guess they said the ball hit the ground and they called it incomplete. But man, it's not an incomplete pass. It was a terrible call. And Belichick, after he like freaked out on the reporter, which is always fun to see Belichick get mad.
It is. It's great.
But my highlight of this game was Kirk Cousins after the game. That was the best post-game interview I've seen in my entire life.
It was so funny.
I was literally dying. You have Thielen, and then you have Jefferson, and then you have Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
So they're asking, hey, you were shirtless on your plane ride home wearing all the chains. Like, how do you top that? And he's like, I think I'm going to have to, I wrote it down. I think I'm going to have to call my dentist back in Holland, Michigan, and get a grill. I don't think he gets a lot of requests for grills, but I need to call him. Meanwhile, Adam Thielen's over here going, the turkey's dry, and he spits it out on camera.
And he's like, I need water.
And then you got Justin Jefferson, who can't take a bite out of the turkey leg, just smiling with diamonds in his mouth. I mean, it was just like,
it was it was like crazy. It was like everywhere.
Oh my God. It was like so much content just right there. And I'm like, dude, Kirk Cousins should get a grill. He actually has a really nice smile. So I was thinking he'd probably pull a grill off. And I don't compliment other men's smile that often, but he's got a good one.
Confirmed. Kyle has a crush on Kirk Cousins. Confirmed.
Man crush. Man crush.
Love it.
Just seems like such a chill dude, man. He's like, hey, I'm gonna get a grill next.
He's so likable, and I hate it that he's in the NFC North with the Vikings, but he's so likable. He's such a likable guy. I've heard his interviews on a couple podcasts, and most recently was Pardon My Take. And he's just such a likable guy. Like the fact that he's putting on chains, ordering grills, just like kicking it with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, 2 really good receivers on his team, and he's got his team at 9 and something, 9-2.
9-2.
Yeah, like it's just, it all works and it all feels so good. And what I will say, I'm very surprised. I'm not surprised that the Vikings gave up this many points. I will say that I'm not surprised that the Vikings defense gave up this many points. That's kind of standard for them. What I'm surprised in, you said that earlier, Mac Jones, what he did in this game, he went 28 for 39, 382 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's insane for Mac Jones. This is
Yeah.
literally a 1 week removed from like no offense against the Jets. That they needed a punt return touchdown to win that game. This is like a 0 offensive game from Mac Jones last week into 380 plus yards and 2 touchdowns against a team that's 9-2. So credit to them, but also credit to Kirk Cousins. Like you said, it was a huge it was a tight end game for sure, but Cousins with 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, 1 interception, but whatever. 1 to Jefferson, Thielen, and Hawkinson. Like that's why he ate turkey at the end of the day, right? That's why he was talking about grills and stuff because of what he did in that game.
Yeah, and Ramondre Stevenson had 9 receptions in the game. So I mean, he continues to just be that guy that when the pocket collapses, you just toss it over to him.
That's insane. 9 receptions for a running back, leading receiver.
Probably the best stat out of this game, but not the coolest stat of the week because that's next. Justin Jefferson has passed Randy Moss and Odell Beckham Jr. for the most receiving yards through 3 seasons in the NFL. Hall of Famer Randy Moss had 4,163. Odell Beckham had 4,122. And Justin Jefferson has 4,203 and counting. And we're in week 12.
Oh, my God.
So a lot more football to be played, but obviously Justin Jefferson given a lot of credit. If you watch that interview with Turkey to Kirk Cousins, they got a really good relationship. I really think that was the Stephon Diggs thing. It worked out for everybody. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen have such a good relationship, and Justin Jefferson and Kirk just seem to be hitting it off. But my craziest stat, I mean, not of the week, like ever of saying any football stat in my entire life is in the Bucs game. The Bucs dropped an L to the Cleveland Browns on the road in overtime. A game that almost ended in a tie. The Bucs offense pretty stagnant for a while. Just not, I mean, Tom Brady after the game said 17 points wasn't going to get it done. We always knew that. But here is the stat. Tom Brady has never in his career lost a game up 7 with less than a minute or less.
Jesus Christ.
He is 219-0.
Was 219-0.
I feel like there needs to be a moment of silence for that stat to really set in.
That's insane.
Mean, this is a guy that's been playing football since we were, in elementary school and has never lost a game down 7 or up 7 with a minute left. How has that not happened yet? Ever?
and it happened when he's what? 44 years old?
45.
45 years old. And you're like, this guy's got a 20-year career and it just happened on his 20th year. It's insane. But I mean, it's also Tom Brady. And you talked about the offense being stagnant. I don't know who's their head coach again? The Bucs head coach?
Todd Bowles.
I don't know what Todd Bowles is doing. I don't know if he realizes who he has at quarterback, but you got to play. You got to call better plays in overtime, especially. You just have to score to win. You have to score a touchdown to win. And for some reason, he didn't let Tom Brady do that. Jacoby Brissett gave it to, what was it? Njoku. I think one of the great, it was Chubb. It was Chubb when he carried, when he had the run to score to end the game in overtime to get that touchdown.
Yeah.
Believe me, I have Chubb on my fantasy squad, so I'm glad he got it. But how do you let a running back beat you in overtime? You got Tom Brady. How do you do that? So I don't know. It sucked, but hey, the Browns, Jacoby Brissett looks solid in his last game as a starter because who's coming up next is Deshaun Watson. So
yeah.
Well, he looks solid. I think he earned himself another contract, either whether it be in Cleveland or another team, but he'll probably go to the Colts again. So we'll see how that happens.
And the Bucs had such a bad start to the season, but then they won. I forgot they won a game, and then they beat Seattle. So they were on a 2-game win streak. Yeah. They beat Seattle in Germany. They hit the bye week, and everybody just kind of was like, "Okay, this is Tom Brady getting into gear, going into November." And then they come out and the offense sputtered and Tom Brady completing 29 of 43 passes, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, but they just got too conservative towards
They
the end of the game. I
they
mean, they didn't seem like there was any initiative, and you just knew that if you let the Browns hang around long enough, that eventually they're gonna find a way to score, and that's what happened. So
did.
not very I don't know, just not a very sexy game, and
No.
it just sucks that Tom Brady. I just really want, and I'm not like a Tom Brady, nutsucker. Like people love Tom Brady,
Yes, you are.
but just with the divorce and everything going on, I
Mhm.
really don't want him to like come back and not be successful. I'm really pulling for him to at least punch a ticket
Get
to
to
the
the
playoffs.
playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, and luckily his division's pretty weak, so that's still on the table. But man, I really hope they get it going. Our next game, uh, Trevor Lawrence had the best game of his career.
Yes.
They played a Ravens team. The Jaguars were at home, and the Ravens coming off a 3-13 win where they went into the fourth quarter
Mhm.
3-3. So it was just against the Panthers team. So they were able to score 10 points in the fourth and win by, 10 points, 13-3. But it left a lot of question marks going into the Jacksonville game because
Yep.
we were like, well, a lot of people, especially Colin Coward and people that do like betting and stuff, said don't even come near this game because it's so weird.
Mhm.
And they were totally right. Jacksonville, it looked like the Ravens were going to win. They got off to a pretty decent sized lead, but like we've seen so many times, they collapse in the last 9 minutes or so in the fourth quarter. And the Jaguars had been 0-11 against
Mhm.
teams entering the 4+ games over 500, which is like a winning team mark, right?
Yep. Yep.
So this is the first time in the past 5 seasons that the Jaguars have been able to beat a winning team, basically, and that
That's
is an
crazy.
insane, right? And
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, definitely, this is the biggest win of his career. He ended up putting together, I think it was 2 drives of 75 or more yards in the
Yep.
final 9 minutes. Zay Jones really got going in
Mhm.
that game. Marvin Jones was a big factor.
Mhm.
There was a critical fumble in the third quarter from Trevor Lawrence that led to a 2-score lead on the Ravens. And then
Yep.
he got the ball back and just kept fighting and scoring points. And it was like, wow, there was a fight in the dog, and
Yep.
I guess if you're a Jaguars fan, there's something to be hopeful about moving forward. And Trevor Lawrence looking like the guy that he was supposed to be when he was taken first overall.
And I give credit to Trevor Lawrence and that offense for doing what they did, but at some point, you look at what the Ravens did. They were leading for more than most of the fourth quarter, I would say. And the defense for the Ravens gave up 275-yard scores to Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. We can talk about what Lamar Jackson did and didn't do in this game, but look at the defense and be like, how did you give up 275-yard scores? 75 yards. That means they kicked the field goal, didn't return it out, and we're at the 25 and still scored. And they did that twice against this defense that was supposed to be improved with Roquan Smith, the addition of him. Dude, I don't know. I really don't know if it's more on Lamar Jackson and the offense or if it's really on this defense letting the Jaguars come back like that because they were on a 4-game win streak. Again, they had only beaten the Panthers by 10. Sure, that is kind of more. I would say the defense did its job and the offense should have probably stepped it up a little bit better. But in this game, the defense really, really just screwed the pooch on this one because not only was Travis Etienne out, yeah, Jermichael Hastings do really well in his absence. And again, Trevor Lawrence did what he needed to do, and this is probably the best game the Jaguars are going to win this season. But you got to look at the defense on the Ravens side because that was not good for them.
Yeah, and there was 33 points scored alone just in the fourth quarter, which was a really, really busy fourth quarter, which was super
Yeah.
entertaining in a game that had a 45-minute lightning delay. We were just
Yep.
talking about lightning delays like a couple of episodes, remember?
Yep. Yep.
And there you go. You had one there. And I guess that's pretty cool, though, because Trevor Lawrence, a lot of people that normally don't tune into Jaguar games were probably watching the end of
Yeah.
that game. It was the only
Hmm.
game on. So our next game um, was the second biggest blowout in Dolphins history at halftime.
Wow.
They were up 30-0 at halftime,
Hmm.
and it was the second
Jesus.
largest, the only largest larger lead at halftime in Dolphins history was a
Hmm.
41-0 lead in the first half in 2015 against who? Guess who?
Was it the Bears?
No, it was also the Texans.
I was like, why is he asking me this in this way? Because it's got to be the
But yeah,
Bears.
no, it's just funny that like the
Yeah.
only other team is still the same team that they played. So yeah, we predicted this, and don't get that they took all the starters out of the game. I mean, the Texans. This is all garbage points. If the
Did,
Dolphins wanted to beat them 60-0, they could have.
did I predict that Tua would all the starters would be out in the third quarter? Or was that another game that I thought was going to be more of a blowout?
I'll
I
have
can't
to go
remember.
back and listen. I think
Yeah,
there was talk about it.
yeah, because they got taken out in the third quarter, and Kyle Allen at quarterback, other than Davis Mills, dude, the Texans generated 3 first downs in the first half, 32 total yards, and that was it. Like that was it. And he got sacked 5 times. The Dolphins are just no, it's not even the Dolphins. The Texans are not an NFL team. They are right now this season. They are an NFL team that is pretending to be an. They have the look. They have the stadium. They have the money. They are not anywhere near talent wise an NFL team. It's sad to see. They're gonna have the number 1 pick this draft. They look bad. Tua looked like an MVP. You still got Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Gesicki. All these guys just look so good compared to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans suck, man.
Yeah, and
Through and through.
the Texans, it really looks like that Bill O'Brien head coach where they traded Deshaun Watson they put him on the block, and then they
Mm-hmm.
traded Hopkins. That
Mm-hmm.
was kind of the downfall of the franchise. Then you bring in
Yeah.
Lovie Smith, who may be a good head coach, but not really trending in the way offensively. The good teams are normally kind of offensive minds. It's
Yeah.
just the way the league's trending. But
Yep.
I was going to say one more thing. Tua definitely did insert himself into the MVP conversation with that win.
Yeah.
And then there was one more thing. I don't remember what it was. I'll get back to it. It'll be random. I'll just bring it back. But we'll go on to your game of the week, the Chicago Bears. Dude, I was so mad about this too
You're
because
telling me.
my brother, he sent me a text before the game started,
Yeah.
and he was like, hey man, because he knows that I do this podcast and I'm kind of up to date with all of the NFL. And he's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm going to take the Jets. And he asked me, what do you think about it? Because he's going to bet money on it. And I said, well, I think the Jets will win, but if you want to be safe, I'll take the Bears with the points because it was a 9-point or a 10-point underdog. So it's like the
Oh my
Bears
God.
could keep it within 10 points
Yeah.
or they could win. And I just felt safer, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
I was like Trevor Siemian and then Zach White, comes in and stuff
No,
like
no,
that.
no. Mike White.
Or Mike White. And then all of a sudden, Mike White wakes up a Jets offense that the short way to say it is Zach Wilson isn't getting his job back anytime soon.
No.
He diced up the Bears. He went 315 yards, 22 of 28 attempts. He was moving the ball to so many different players. I think there was 10 different receivers. Yeah, 10 different receivers with the catch. Elijah Moore got his first touchdown of the season. Garrett Wilson, 5 catches, 95 yards, 2
2
touchdowns. I mean,
touchdowns.
this looked like a way better team with Mike White. And I don't know if anyone was really predicting that, but Mike White became like the first quarterback to have multiple games with 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, like ever, I think, something like that.
In the last 30 years, 30 seasons.
Yeah. In the last 30 seasons, that blows my mind, man.
I and in the limited starts, in the limited time we've seen Mike White, he's done this. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard Mike White again this year that he was gonna go for Zach Wilson, I was like, okay, well, I mean, he can't keep it going, can he? He kept it going. He torched the Bears defense. The Bears, look, even with Zach Wilson against this depleted Bears team and no Justin Fields, I feel like would have had a similar score. Maybe not what 30 or what was it 31-10,
Yeah.
maybe like 27 points, maybe not that extra 5 for whatever points it was. Close enough with Zach Wilson. The I would have taken the Jets in this, but again, I didn't want to lose to my wife, which by the way, I'll mention in a bit. Oh no, we mentioned that already. But I I would have taken the Jets in this. If I'm betting money, I would have absolutely taken the Jets. You're absolutely going to destroy the Bears. Not only in one, the conditions were terrible. And the Bears have won a game. They won their first game of the season in a typhoon, pretty much. So there's really not an excuse. But the turf at the Jets field caused like 4 or 5 injuries for the Bears. So that sucked.
I
We
told you
lost.
the NFLPA is starting that petition to get rid of turf because of the injuries. Remember?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and we lost Mooney for the entire season. Eddie Jackson is hurt. We had 2 of our linemen go down. I don't know, like we had another guy go down as well. We had like 5 injuries in this game. So, and that was like all near or by halftime, something like that. Either towards halftime or like in the third quarter sometime. Bears look bad. Trevor Siemian had one good drive, had a really good throw to Byron Pringle. Luckily, Byron Pringle came out with that touchdown because it could have been an interception, really, when you looked at it, right? Um, but Trevor Siemian had one good drive, and that's it, man. And then the rest of it was just like the defense was just letting, what's his name, the running back, kind of just walk all over them. Mike White was throwing the ball everywhere. The secondary, which is usually the better part of the Bears defense, looked like crap. It was just a bad game by the Bears. And again, I kind of knew that was coming. Of course, I'm a Bears fan. I always think there's going to be a win. I always hope there's a win. I hope there's something that can give me a positive outlook on the game. I, at one point in the third quarter, walked out of my office. I had the Bears game on. I walked out of my office. I went downstairs and like made something to eat or something like that. And I was gone for like 15, 20 minutes. And I was just kind of like, I came back up and all of a sudden they're up 31-10. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to get blown out. And that's exactly what happened. Without Justin Fields, this Bears team is trash. And the only saving grace in this game was David Montgomery. He looked good. Darrington Evans, an undrafted rookie, shined in his very limited play for the Bears too. So there's another running back we can kind of count on. But Robert Salah, credit to him, credit to Mike White, credit to Garrett Wilson. They saw this game and they're like, we can win this game against this really bad Bears defense. And all he had to do was put Mike White in and take Zach Wilson out because he knew he was like, hey man, if you're going to talk like that in press conferences, you're not going to play the game of football under me. There's no way. So
And the
credit to them.
Yeah, and the kind of ironic twist to the whole thing is that the quarterback or the franchise quarterback of the team that he was supposed to be playing had a completely different approach where his defensive players had to stop him mid-sentence when Justin Fields was like, hey man, like this one's on me. And they were like, no, man, it's on all of us. Like that, like you can tell Fields he is a leader. And I didn't think it was possible for a player to become more valuable without playing, but that's what Fields did on Sunday. He became more valuable because the Bears, I mean, I know what it's like to lose for a long time and then kind of get short-term memory when you start finding success. But the Bears definitely just came back down to earth and were like, man, that team without Justin Fields, they're not competitive. They're really not. Like that team is Justin Fields, and that's more of a reason he shouldn't have been playing in that game.
Yes, 100%. I think Trevor Siemian got sacked like 5 times or something. Like this offensive line is terrible. And now again, this was one of the reasons they didn't rule Justin Fields out until an hour and a half before the game. And maybe it was to kind of like, hey, let's try to mess with the Jets head. And then it was like Trevor Siemian was like got hurt, his oblique got hurt during warmups. And then it was like, oh, now we're playing Nathan Peterman, but then he felt better, so Siemian went in.
It was weird.
Just it was a weird thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, and like you said, Justin Fields saying that, it just proves that he's a leader. But again, this Bears team is Justin Fields, and this game against the Jets looked like the Bears offense has looked the past 4 seasons under Nagy, and it was just like, wow, we are really, really garbage without Fields. So the offseason is going to be exciting. So I can't wait for next year.
So I was right on that game, and Rick was wrong. Another game I was right on, and Rick was wrong, is the Cincinnati Bengals coming into Tennessee.
Wow, we're just going to skip your Broncos, huh?
Yeah, can we? I really
yeah, let's go over the Bengals in time.
Dude,
I love that.
We'll save the worst for last. I'm like, I'm dead serious about skipping it, but I know we have to talk about it, but not yet. Okay, I'm not ready. let me. So the Tennessee Titans have been playing really well on the road against good teams. I think of the Chiefs on Sunday night, where they didn't have Ryan Tannehill and they still fought all the way to overtime. But the Titans have a very simple, I guess, method to being beat, and all they have to do is contain Derrick Henry and force Ryan Tannehill to throw the ball. And Derrick Henry averaged 2.2 yards a carry. He did have that pass, the screen pass that went for 75 yards that got punched out, but just running the football, he was totally contained. And I think Next Gen Stats or whatever, said that after facing a pressure rate, now this is the Bengals offensive line, they faced a pressure rate of 32% in the divisional round against the Titans last season. Joe Burrow was pressured only 18.4% of dropback Sunday. So, wow. I mean, the offensive line really held up, and it seems like they're getting better from what we saw week 1 and week 2. They're starting to, I guess, learn each other's language, whatever the case may be. They're playing better together. And the Bengals just went in there like, hey, we have to stop Derrick Henry. That's their entire offense. And they did that. And it was still a close game. And I never doubted it. Mike Vrabel is a great head coach, and he's always going to play tough. I don't see the Titans really ever getting blown out, short of them playing maybe a Bills team that's on fire. But it looked like the Bengals were the better team, and they didn't have Jamar Chase. The Bengals are just starting to put up a lot of points. I said it last week. They're averaging 34 points a game in their last 3 weeks. And then they go into Tennessee and score 20. So, I mean, you got to credit the Titans defense. All the Titans had to do is score more than 20 points. But they couldn't. And it was the Bengals defense that deserves a game ball in the offensive line. And Jamar Chase is coming back next week, and they're going to need him against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jamar Chase. This is a game that the Bengals were without him and Mixon. And your boy T. Higgins really, really showed out. Yeah, he really showed out. What did he have? God, where is it? Oh, I'm looking at 114 yards, 7 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown in the fourth quarter. He looked amazing. And credit to Joe Burrow too for making him a part of this offense, making him shine really in this offense, right? So credit to him. Tennessee, I said last episode that when teams play Tennessee, they just play weird. When Tennessee plays the Bengals, they're 0-3. They look bad. They make small mistakes. You had the kicker miss a field goal wide right. Then you had I think with a minute something left in the fourth quarter, you had one of their special teams guys run into the long snapper, causing a penalty, giving the Cincinnati Bengals a fresh set of downs and basically ending the game right there. So Tennessee plays really weird against the Bengals, and that's why they lost. You forced Tannehill to make these these throws. They threw like 36, almost 40 times because they shut down Henry, like you mentioned, and that's how you win. You shut down Henry and you make Tannehill beat you in the air. This is kind of like the Giants. You know, we'll talk about them a little later, but you shut down Henry and you make Daniel Jones beat you and you win the game. That's how it goes. Oh no, well we talked about them for the Cowboys. Never mind.
Yeah,
But that's effectively what you do against the Titans too. So their defense held Burrow, and again they thought without Mixon and without Jamar Chase it was going to be a bit more of an easier task. They just the mistakes from the special teams really killed them.
yeah, and the Titans are going to be fine as far as making the playoffs. They're still
Yeah.
going to win their division.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not going to be a first seed. Kansas City's probably going to go 16-2, to be honest. But we'll move on to a Washington Commanders game. They were honoring Sean Taylor's life at the game. There was no Mahomes TikToking on his, I guess, honor site like last year.
Yeah, so weird.
But yes, I'm still not over it. But the win against the Falcons was Ron Rivera's 100th win as the Commanders head coach. So good job, Ron. Okay. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
There it is. Sorry,
Brian,
I froze there for a second.
Oh, yeah. I was like, okay, no one's going to clap. Brian Robinson rushed for 100 yards. It was his first 100-yard rushing game of his career. He just came back from being shot a couple months ago, which is kind of insane to think about. But he said
all the commentators love mentioning that he got shot. They
love what do they love more? Talking about the fact that he got shot or mentioning Tyreek Hill in a Chiefs game?
yeah. No. What do they love mentioning more? Brian Robinson getting shot or Tyreek being a cheat code? Oh, he's a cheat code.
Or Patrick Mahomes playing backyard football.
Yeah, it's like,
Colin. What's his name?
No, not is it Colin?
The slide in. No. Collinsworth.
Yeah, Collinsworth.
Yeah. He's just playing his own game out there. He's a special guy. I've never seen anything like it.
Like, shut up, dude. Stop saying the same thing over.
It's like, we know that you like him. But yeah, dude, just had his first 100-yard game, just came back from being shot. It is something worth mentioning. I can see why the commentators do it, but Washington defense struggled earlier in the season, but one player that's been consistent is Montez Sweat, who made his way up to the number 11 on Washington's all-sack list. So, oh my God. Montez Sweat. And look, Atlanta was about to score to win the game. There was a wide-open Cordell Patterson. He was kind of doing an in route, and who was it that got their hand up? It was Kendall Fuller, who ended up tipping the ball up so that the defense could get an interception.
No, it was Darren Payne who tipped it. Kendall Fuller came up with the interception.
Did he catch it? Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. But I mean, Atlanta was right there about to win the game by 1 point, and it was the Commanders' defense that really made a play when it mattered. And I was really torn on this game. It seemed like they were kind of equal, but the Commanders, what is this now? Their fifth win out of 6 or something like that? 5 out of 6.
With Heineke at under center, they're 5-1.
I think it's amazing what they're doing, but I'm not a believer. But as of right now, the entire NFC East is in the playoffs, which is like
insane.
We've never had that in the history of the NFL. We'll see if it upholds. I still think that the Giants and Commanders are not as good as, winning games like that is just like, we'll see what happens when they play the Eagles and, the Vikings and, those kinds of teams. But I don't want to take anything from it. They're winning football games. I'm just not I just don't believe that they're as good as 5 out of 6 games would suggest. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah. And I like Heineke. I know you said you're not a believer, but 5-1, it's kind of like the Jimmy G phenomena. is that you're a winner until proven otherwise. And right now, Heineke's a winner, whether it was an ugly win or not. I mean, I think he had one interception. He went 14 of 23 for 138 yards, two touchdowns
Boo.
and one interception. Yeah, that's like a Bears quarterback stat line right there. But either way, they won. And they won on the ground too, with Brian Robinson, like you said, but also Antonio Gibson, Williams, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, all of them that actually had some part in the ground game. Brian Robinson had 105 yards, and then the total rushing yards were 176. So they got it done on the ground, and that's how you win against this terrible defense as far as run defense for the Falcons. And you mentioned the defense for the Commanders. Montez Sweat, all those guys. Chase Young actually wasn't in the game because he was still kind of hurt or something like that, or sick. I think he was sick. Which, by the way, everybody, I know there's like a sickness going around. Feel better. Drink your Dayquil and your NyQuil. But yeah, no, you got to credit the defense. Chase Young wasn't back for this game, but he's going to be back, and it's just going to get even better. This is a very like, I don't want to say questionable team, but right, like you said, right now they're in the playoffs, and a lot of it has to do with their defense and Taylor Heineke's somewhat ability to win, but also his ability to kind of get the crowd in it and just be, again, that emotional leader for the whole.
Yeah. No, totally. And
Whoa.
I kind of had the Commanders and the Giants in a similar light where I don't trust either of them, but whatever, they're winning enough games to make the playoffs. So next week, that Commanders Giants game, I'm actually really excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
Our next game is a Chargers Cardinals game where if you had to take a guess, everybody kind of knew they were going to go for the win because that's kind of the character that we come to expect of an aggressive head coach that goes for it on his own 30 when it's 4th and 12.
Yeah.
But this time I kind of agree with it because the Chargers were having a lot of trouble being able to capitalize, and the way the game was going, it just kind of felt like if they were going to win the game, it had to happen in that 2-point conversion.
Yep.
And that's what they did, and they won it. And if you've been following Hard Knocks in season with the Cardinals, just another heartbreaker. And it's so sad.
Why?
If you didn't hear me say this last week, I said when you watch Hard Knocks, you realize how hard it actually is to win in this league. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with players, believing or effort. They could be doing everything right and still lose. And that's what happens when you're the best in the world and you're playing other people that are the best in the world.
Yeah.
And just another heartbreaking loss for the Cardinals. This is kind of a lost season officially for them. There was a lot of games that the Broncos, the Cardinals, the Packers, there was a lot of nails and coffins happening on Sunday. And that was another one. And the Chargers kind of really needed that win to go one game above 500, and they got it. But it was not an easy win to get. Did you see that ending, the 2-point conversion?
I did. And this, they were able to get that. Let me just set the scene for you here. The Cardinals went 3 and out 3 times, leading by a touchdown. The Chargers defense, by the way, very good defense, held them to 3 and outs before they went on that game-winning drive that they scored that 2-point conversion on. Insane that Kyler Murray and that offense for the Cardinals went 3 and out 3 times to really seal that win, to get them that win. I don't know what it is, but credit to that defense for the Chargers, because they really when they needed to like clamp that offense down, they did it, and they gave Justin Herbert enough time. I think it was like a minute and a half left. They went all the way, and Staley, the most aggressive guy, the guy who goes for it on 4th down, even at his own like 5 if he wanted to, goes for 2, gets the W. And Herbert and I forgot who he connected with that touchdown or that 2-point conversion pass or if it was a run. Dude, it's just finally the Chargers get the win that they really needed, like you said, to get over that hump of 500. And we got a buddy who's a Chargers fan, so that one must have been really exciting for you, Race.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 2-point conversion right now,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen a two-point conversion in last time I saw one like that, like for the win, was I think it was like 2008, and the Broncos were playing the Chargers. We still had Jay Cutler, and
Nice.
they scored the touchdown, and then immediately they like went with the two fingers, and I was like, no, man, it's nerve wracking. And you're
It
like,
is.
no, I can't believe we're doing that. And then Jay Cutler snaps the ball, and the pressure comes, and he rolls out, and then he throws the ball, and he gets hit. But he lost the ball before his arm went forward. It was a fumble, but Ed Hockley blew the whistle. So they were like, because I blew the whistle, the play like is a dead, and the Broncos got another shot at it. That wasn't the 2-point conversion, that was the touchdown, but it was the most controversial thing ever. They like had to go, the refs apologized. They're like, the call was wrong, but we blew the whistle, so you can't advance it. And they ended up winning the game somehow. So Chargers kind of able to, the world comes around and they were able to do it to someone else. But yeah, good for the Chargers to get that win. We'll see. I think they're done playing the Chiefs now, which, I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, it makes your schedule a lot easier.
Oh, I bet.
When you're in the AFC West, you're like, okay, I got to play the Chiefs twice. They knock that out and they're above 500. That's the dub. So,
oh yeah, 100%.
Good for the Chargers. I'm thinking that they'll probably take that wild card spot. Our next game is an AFC West team that is not probably going to take that spot, but this was my upset of the week. I had the Raiders going into Seattle and getting a win. I said it was going to be raining. I looked at the forecast, and I said it was going to come down between Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker. And Josh Jacobs just went off, and he proved
monster.
Yeah, and this is his last year. They didn't use his 5th-year option. So this is like he's going to be a free agent after this year. So this is a year where he kind of has to do that if he wants to get a big contract.
Yeah.
And the Raiders didn't, use that option. They wanted to see what he was. And boy, is he good or what? I mean,
he's insane.
He is really good. And Seattle's defense is sus. And I've been saying that for a while since that Detroit game. And I don't believe in the Seahawks. And I really don't. I think that the talks about Geno going into a long-term contract after the season is just kind of like, feels like a Jared Goff settle. It's like, okay, you just don't care about having a really good franchise quarterback. Because I mean, that's essentially what it feels like when teams are like, oh, we'll take Jared Goff for 5 years. And it's like, don't you want to get like one of the good ones, at some point? But they, some people are just happy with what they got. They're like, no, we can work with this. And I just thought it would be a matter of time. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are going to finish with a winning season. The 49ers are definitely starting. No, I don't. And the 49ers are starting to pull away from the NFC West. And I think they're your favorite to get in. And then NFC West, I mean, the NFC is not like the AFC where there's a lot of openings, but with the NFC East, who knows if Seattle will even get in. But what did you make of the game? And I'm going to ask, sometimes I ask you this, I'm going to ask you on this game, who did this game say more about, the Raiders or the Seahawks?
That's a good question. And I'm not entirely sure how to answer it. And I think it's because the Raiders, as of recently, have been a little bit better, just a little bit better, right? Like I don't know what happened to Josh McDaniels, but he looks competent as a coach now. All of a sudden, in the last 3 weeks, maybe he was playing the Broncos, like no offense, but I mean, like maybe it was something like that. Maybe there was a spark where it was like, oh shit, yeah, sorry. Is it was it like did he like realize at one point where he's like, oh man, here I go again, right? Look, Josh Jacobs, absolute monster, 86-yard touchdown for an overtime win. Insane that happened against a defense who is not giving up more than 23 points in the last few weeks and like more than 300 something yards, I think it was. So I know you don't like the Seattle defense and you think they're a little sus, but I don't think they're that sus. I think they're more like the Minnesota defense where it's like, okay, you expect 23, 27 points, but you also expect their offense to be a little bit better as well than that.
Well, they gave up 41 points to the Lions or something, 48 points to the
yeah,
Lions.
yeah. But I mean, recently the defense has been in that 23 range. I think the Raiders, with the emotional leader that Derek Carr is, and Josh McDaniels somehow being like, "Oh, let me actually put my head coaching hat on, or sorry, my head coaching visor on, and realize what I need to do." I think that coupled with how good Josh Jacobson has been over this year, it's like, okay, I think it says more about them than it does the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks won't make the playoffs. It was a nice run, but like you said, the 49ers are pulling away, and the talent on the 49ers is just absurd. You're kind of getting by as the Seahawks. The 12th man wasn't really a factor in this game, I don't think, because they went into overtime. And I mean, again, the Raiders did what they need. They just look better. They look like the better team. So I think this does say more about the Raiders than it does the Seahawks.
Do you have their overall record in front of you? Let's see.
They're
They're 6
the
and
Raiders.
5.
Yeah, the
No.
Seahawks are 6-5. Raiders are 4-7.
Yeah, well, they play the Rams and the Panthers, so they could be 8-5. But then they got the Niners and the Chiefs and the Jets, and they could.
Okay.
There's a path to the playoffs. They have
I
to
don't know.
beat the Rams twice, and
Mm.
then the Panthers, and just doing that they would finish over 500.
I mean, it's possible, but the NFC East, the way it is, I mean, I could see the Commanders maybe getting edged out by the Seahawks. I can see that. I think I can see that scenario. Or even
you think the Commanders could finish? Do you think the Commanders could finish 9-8? Because that's what the Seahawks are looking like they're going to do.
Possibly. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but possibly.
Interesting. Well, let's get to a team that there's no questions about. The Kansas City first seed Chiefs. Andy Reid became the winningest coach in Chiefs Kingdom. That's what they call it over there. That is also he became the winningest coach at home in Arrowhead. And that's, I mean, it gets to a point where the stats just start. There's like a new record all the time, and it's usually Patrick Mahomes, but right now it's Andy Reid. And then there was one more. Oh yeah, their 10th consecutive winning season.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which I mean, that goes all the way back to Alex Smith. That's pre Tyreek Hill. That's pre Travis Kelce. Yeah, that's pre Patrick Mahomes. So I mean, at some point, you do got to like give the coach the respect that's due. He is a good head coach, and there was really no doubt really about this game. The Chiefs were able to move the ball super efficiently every time I watched the whole game. The Chiefs were just going down the field, and really it was the red zone for the Rams that gave an opportunity for the Rams to stay in the game. When it went into halftime, it was like, if you're a Rams fan, you got to be pretty happy that you're only down what it was. I think it was like 9 points at the break, maybe 10. So I was like, oh, you got to be pretty happy about that. And that they forced Bucker to kick 4 times in the red zone. And that's insane. That's one of the best red zone. That's the best red zone offense in the NFL. So, I mean, they did their job, but you had a rookie, or not, I don't know if he's a rookie, but he was making his first start ever at quarterback.
Bryce Perkins. Yeah.
Bryce Perkins. And he didn't look bad. He looked like the Rams got a really bad offensive line. So his mobility looked like a really good thing. He was able to like get around and run, and McVay was doing a lot of design quarterback draws and stuff like that on like
Yeah.
2nd and 13.
Yeah.
Just try to make a third down more manageable. But that experience kind of became a factor when they needed him to go on a winning drive towards the
Yep.
end of the game. And he threw 2 picks like on the last 2 drives, and it gave the Chiefs 6 more points just on those
Hmm.
2 picks. And that was kind of what gave them the big lead. It was a 10-point game. Here's the turn. It was a 10-point game, and the Chiefs uh, end up throwing an interception in the end zone on 3rd down.
Yep.
So the Chiefs are about to go up 17, and all of a sudden the Rams have the ball only down 10 with the whole 4th quarter pretty much in front of them.
Hmm.
And there was a path, but then Bryce Perkins, not the guy that was going to be able to capitalize on those mistakes. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're making a defensive plan on how to beat the Chiefs, the Rams did it. They just couldn't follow that plan up with
With
any
an
offense.
offense. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. And when the Rams, when you got your Super Bowl winning quarterback in concussion protocol, you have your Super Bowl MVP out for the year. You have Allen Robinson, who is their next best offensive target, I would say, who has to have a season-ending surgery, and your leading rusher was a guy that you cut or waived and is now a Jaguar. What is there to look forward to in this Ram season? There is nothing. Well, I mean, Sean it on the sidelines at some point. It's
Oh
been
man.
bad. Yeah, it's
Did
been
you see
bad
Sean
for the
McVay
Rams.
almost get his jaw broken?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
Oh,
think
you saw
it was on that part. I think. Um, it's just there's the Rams are not the Rams are looking like a slightly better Houston Texans team. That's what they're looking like with the way they've been playing. Bryce Perkins, sure, why? I mean, you got to throw him in there. What else is there to do, right? Like you got nobody else. Wolford wasn't showing you anything, so why not throw Perkins in there, right? See what you got in these guys, in these quarterbacks that you have, sitting on the bench. That's really all you got to say. And then Mahomes and the Chiefs dominating as usual. Obviously, they didn't dominate in the red zone like they usually do, but they still won the game. What 30 or so 26-10? Oh
yeah, they
no,
won by 16.
they only won by 16. Oh no.
Yeah, and the over was 15 for that game. So the Chiefs
Wow.
covering by 1 point. Um,
Wow.
our next team is a team that Seattle Seahawks also gave up almost 50 points to the Saints. Playing a 49ers team that's just a little bit better than the Seahawks,
Oh
giving
yeah.
up 0 points. I mean, 0. The Saints had an opportunity late in the
Mhm.
game to score a touchdown, and who stepped up to the plate? I mean, guess who? If you had to pick one guy.
For the defense or the offense?
No, for the defense of 49ers.
One Sa.
Yeah. Dude, that guy is a
Bosa.
freak.
He
Yeah, they
is, man.
needed
He's a force of
so good.
nature.
I know. They yeah, I know. That sounds super weird. I'm not going to say
That's
that.
that's gonna
He's
be
so
that's
fit.
confirmed. Kyle also has a crush on Nick Bosa.
He's got nice veins.
He's so vascular.
Oh, you're blushing. No, I'm not.
Shut
No.
up.
But yeah, the Saints, I mean, as bad as they were playing, and it wasn't pretty. Alvin Kamara had 2 fumbles.
Mhm.
Good thing I benched him. We'll talk about that in a little bit. They had a chance to at least make it a ball game. They score a touchdown, and now it's a 6-point game in 49ers offense that hadn't been moving that good, and there was some question about the availability of their playmaker, the fast
Mhm.
Debo Samuel, um, and they ended up rolling with him, and
Yeah.
then he had a play where he was like kind of holding that hamstring, he was like nursing it as he limped off the field, and we were like, oh, and
Yeah.
the child just was chanting like Debo, and it was like pretty cool actually to see the fans love a guy that much, but
Nice.
he ended up coming back into the game where I thought they might keep him off because
Hmm.
they it was the Saints, and they bring him back into the game, and he looked fine. So,
Yeah.
maybe just I don't know. He had a handoff or like a design play where he ran like 30 yards, and it was like, okay, that Debo's fine. So that's good news for the 49ers, but Saints just not able to get anything going. Credit the 49ers defense. Anytime you shut out an NFL football team, this is a huge
Yeah.
accomplishment. It's hard to do. Like I said, the Seahawks, they gave up 49 points to that Saints team, and
That's insane.
yeah, that's what
That's
that's what
insane.
that's why I have so many questions about their defense. Because they always like give up a lot to teams where you're like, really? The Saints?
Well, yeah, and I mean it's the Saints this year, right? Because you're going between Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, and then Jameis Winston goes down to injury. Alvin Kamara is not nowhere near himself this year. I mean, you saw it in this game, fumbling twice. Andy Dalton getting sacked on a 4th and goal instead of just going for the points there at that point, right? Because it was a low scoring game. But again, like you said, credit to this San Francisco defense that is so good. Bosa is just amazing, and the offense was like, you look at the rushing game and who they have, yes, involving Debo, but Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, they got shut down by the Saints defense. They got shut down. The running game got shut down, and the only touchdown of the game was Jimmy Garoppolo to Jennings, I believe,
On a
for like
tipped ball.
yeah, like they kind of got lucky.
Super lucky, yeah.
They lucked themselves. This was coming off of a Mexico City game last week where they scored a ton of points. And Jimmy had four touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, something like that. Like, he looked good.
Yeah. Well, I actually thought this would be a low scoring game because Garoppolo threw for 4 touchdowns, and you just know, I was like, well, he's not going to do that twice in a row. He
Yeah.
doesn't.
No, he can't. No, absolutely not.
So, I mean, low scoring game, but 49ers, even with only scoring 13 points, still dominated that game.
Yeah.
And the Bosa brothers are like the new age Watts. Like we grew up with
Yes.
Watts, and now Bosa's are kind of the one in Los Angeles. He's really good too. So we'll see if he can get healthy and come back to the Chargers because they really need him.
What's his name? Nick Bosa's in San Fran. Who's
Nick Bosa and
who's the Chargers Bosa?
Um,
If you're in the comments, let us know if you know.
yeah,
I forget.
We don't do names. We don't
do names here at Only Football. We only talk about the football, the actual just football, the ball.
Yeah,
but
it's Joey Bosa.
Joey, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, Nicky and Joey. Hey.
Nicky and Joey, yeah. Oh man, and I sent you that clip of Nick Bosa.
You did.
And he sounds like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Such a goofball too. Yeah.
Yeah. The defense was like pumping up the crowd, and he's like, "We need to get after the quarterback," and blah blah blah. And
do our assignments. Don't let the ball go. Yeah.
And Nick Bosa just said something like very like just white. I don't know how to explain it.
He turns around to the guy next to him and goes, "Couldn't agree more."
Yeah, he's like, "I couldn't agree more."
Yeah. As calm as ever. As calm as ever. It was funny.
I'm gonna post it on my Twitter so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Our next game was if the Detroit game didn't happen, definitely a game of the week. The Packers-Eagles game did not disappoint.
Nope.
Aaron Rodgers had to go out. Something with his appendix, I think, too. So, it's a rib injury.
I think it was just something with like his ineffectiveness in the game and how much he sucked, something like that.
Well, he was pretty effective when he was in the game. But the Packers defense really found ways to keep they forced some turnovers, and every time the Eagles, I mean, look, after seeing how Jalen Hurts felt like the team on Madden that you make a deal with that you can't play with, because all they have to do is snap the ball and roll out, and there's roll out. Yeah. And that was literally the Eagles. And if you're playing against this team, your defensive line has to contain the edges. You cannot try to shoot up gaps, because if he gets around, he'll take those 10 yards. He had over 100 yards rushing in the first half, man. I mean, you can't attack him that way. You really have to play the edges and force him to run, into the pocket, not outside,
Yeah.
contain that
Yeah.
guy. And the Packers didn't do that. If they planned on it, they totally failed. But I think this is the highest scoring game the Packers had this season. Don't quote me on that because I don't.
I would believe it. Just off the bat, I would believe that.
Yeah. So, I mean, Green Bay unable to keep Aaron Rodgers, but then here comes some drama when Jordan Love comes into the game
Yep.
and looks super sharp.
Yep.
Leads him on a touchdown drive right away. And honestly, he did so well that you can't say like, well, what if Rodgers would have stayed in the game? Because it didn't look any different. He was throwing dimes. He looked comfortable, and Rodgers, he has a dislocated thumb or something like that.
Yeah.
That was just revealed to us just recently. And because of that, he hasn't been practicing on Wednesdays. So Jordan Love has been getting a lot of first team reps with the offense, and it showed. He looked super comfortable. And the team they're playing was the Eagles. They were 9-1. Rewind back to when Aaron Rodgers came in to the game when Brett Favre got hurt. The Packers are playing a 9-1 Eagles team.
I hate this.
On Sunday Night Football, and Rodgers came in and became the starter the next year. So if history repeats itself,
which it won't,
this was an oddly familiar thing to see. You're hoping that Jordan Love's not the next generation.
I 100% hope so. I 100% hope that.
I feel like statistically, the chances of that happening have to be really good because there's something in the air in Lambeau where receivers just get
cheese
or quarterbacks get the cheese. But that'd be really cool if Rodgers retired and Justin Fields turns out to be like Jalen Hurts this year and the Bears are the new dominating team. You would probably like that.
I would love that. But you were right about Aaron Rodgers in this game. The lights were bright. He is Aaron Rodgers. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won multiple MVPs. He has had multiple winning seasons. He went out fighting. Even like he doesn't want to go out in that game. Did he look like he was roughed up? Absolutely. And he showed it, but he looked like he was battling in that game. And he was up until he got taken out. And it's for his own health. Jordan Love looked good. I hate myself for saying that. And I hate that he looked good.
Let me write it down. November 28th.
Don't you dare. But Jalen Hurts was so much better. Like you said, I think he had 152 yards total or 157 yards in this game. Rushing over 150, almost 200 yards, I think, passing. But Miles Sanders, man. Oh my God. 21 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. You had Gainwell and Boston Scott still looking good too. Like they had 363 yards rushing, NFL season high. And that was given up by Green Bay. That was an NFL season high given up by Green Bay. The Eagles looked unmatched. Their defense, though, I will say, against a pretty not like you said, this is probably the most scoring that the Green Bay Packers have done all year. Against this Eagles defense, that's not great. So, they've tried to bolster that defense with signings like Ndamukong Suh. They traded for Robert Quinn. They've got a couple other guys that they signed, to try to get pressure. It's not helping. Ndamukong Suh, I think, maybe had a sack on Rodgers or 1 or 2 sacks, something like that. But it's not helping that defense right now. And they really need to get it together because although that Jalen Hurts and that offense is a very high scoring, high powered offense, defense in playoffs, they need to really, really get a lot, just get solid on the defense. If you can let up 20 points or less with that offense and Jalen Hurts, you're looking good. You're looking good, but 33 points to almost like an anemic Green Bay defense or offense, not a good look. But they ended up winning the game 40-33, and they are 10-1. So
yeah, they lost their safety, who they acquired in the offseason, had led the NFL in interceptions, and he went out with an injury. So that's a really tough loss, especially with you mentioning that the Eagles defense
Yeah.
needs to step it up.
Yeah.
I do
Step it
have
up
you.
regardless of injury.
I do have you quoted right here. Jordan Love looked good. I won't let you forget it ever.
God, and if like next year, like week 12, the Packers are winning because of Jordan Love, I'm gonna be like, don't ever show me that quote ever again.
I will.
I
Well,
know
we
you
already
will.
talked about the Colts Steelers game pretty
Yep.
much. If you wanna touch it up or whatever, I'm gonna pee really quick. I'm right next to the bathroom, but we're not robots. We have to pee sometimes.
We're human beings. Let's you want me to touch on the Colts and the Steelers?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, kind of what we went over, right? The Colts ended up losing 24-17 to the Steelers, and I think it's because he doesn't want to get to the worst game there is. We're saving the worst for last, I guess, in this instance. But yeah, Colts and Steelers. We just kind of gave you guys the last few minutes of that game. The Steelers ended up winning 24-17. The rushing touchdowns by Najee Harris and God, I forget the other Sneed. God, what was his name? Let me just look it up real quick. For the Steelers, it was Najee Harris got the first one. Snell got the second one to make it 24-17. Matt Ryan and the Colts didn't have enough there towards the end. I think he ended up getting sacked, or he ended up getting an incompletion, whatever it was, on 4th and 3. So Steelers end up winning this game. That was actually one I got right, and Kyle got wrong. So just for the record, no big deal.
notice
But
you haven't heard that today yet.
well, we'll get to the records here soon. I think you'll be unpleasantly surprised.
Whatever.
But into let's get
Well,
into the last game ever of this week. Do you want to start? I don't know how you want to go about this. Do you want to start?
yeah,
Go
I'll,
off, Queen. Go off.
yeah. I'm gonna change the podcast to Lonely Football instead of Only Football because it is lonely being a Broncos fan. Now, there's been people on Twitter that have had historical, like they've been not just fans, but maybe the coach of the Nuggets in the 2000s,
Yeah.
like just people that have roots in Colorado are like, I can't remember a more disappointing year in Broncos history than the
Yep.
one we're having right now. And I thought they'll stick with Nathaniel Hackett unless they have an embarrassing loss to a team like what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They, there's it was so much bad. It's not even. I mean, you could tell that the team is starting to. I don't want to say fall apart, but you had the best defense in the NFL, and you just knew that eventually, with the offense playing the way they were, that it was going to take its toll on the defense,
Yep.
and that's pretty much what you saw. Sunday was such a bad football game, and I have never in my life turned off a Broncos game because I can't. I just suffer and I just
That
watch.
bad, huh?
And it was so bad. I mean, they had their 5 minute. They went into their 5 minute, which was really a 2 minute offense, being down like 17 points, and
Yep.
it took them all the way to like 2 minutes where it was left on the clock for them to score. And they had like three different chances where like there was a fourth down and they didn't get it, and then there's a roughing the passer, and it went back to like fourth down. I mean, it was so bad that you're like, man, how difficult could it be for one team to get one touchdown? And the answer is very, very, very hard. I mean, Russell Wilson, I tweeted it last night when I was really pondering. I'll share it with you guys really quick, but really the sad truth is no, the Broncos are a really, really bad team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much to be hopeful for because we don't even have our first pick, which is right now a number 3 overall pick.
Oh my God.
Because we had to use it to get Russell Wilson. So it's just, it's really bad.
Seattle has it.
Seattle has it. Yeah.
Oh no.
So
Oh no.
we have the 49ers from the Bradley Chubb trade, but the Niners are probably going to do really well. It might be like a 30th pick.
The Niners or the Dolphins?
The Niners, because the Dolphins had it from the Niners. So,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
but I was like, maybe at the end of season, possible trade locations for Russell Wilson. And really think about
Really?
it. Like maybe some owner out there can just chalk this up to bad coaching, but the Panthers, the Texans, the 49ers, the Jets, Detroit, the Saints, the Falcons, the Bucks if Brady retires, the Raiders, the
Wow.
Patriots, and the Colts. And I went through every team. Those are the possible trade destinations I could see happening. I could see somebody out there being like, I've seen quarterbacks fall off a cliff. It doesn't happen that fast from playing that good. And I just we owe him so much money that the realistic chances of us being able to get rid of him are slim to none. He is our quarterback for the future, and I the reason
I want to take the way you just said that with the way you said that in the preseason and just put them side by side. And just the progression of how you go. He's the quarterback of our future. We signed him. It's off. He's the quarterback of the future. It's just gonna feel so bad, dude. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at your pain. I really am, because I've gone through this and it sucks to get laughed at. But dude, that right there was just like, oh my God, this was not Kyle a few months ago.
I you know what? And I feel like people that are like, making fun of Broncos, I don't even get mad at it, because I'm like, we deserve it. We're the laughing stock of the NFL right now. And the reason is because if you're just quietly bad, people will leave you alone. But if you're Russell Wilson and you're quietly bad, no one's going to leave you alone. And this is what I can't stand more than anything. Eternally grateful. This is what Russell Wilson posts 5 minutes before the game starts.
Oh my God.
He does this for every game.
And everything.
And then he like tags Prada and stuff. And it's like, dude, no one gives a shit what you're wearing. And nobody cares that you're internally grateful. I was like, you know who also is a Christian? The guy in the background, Dalton Reisner. You know what he doesn't do? He doesn't use it to make tone deaf posts to a fan base that wants you out. We don't want, and it's
insane.
It literally feels like we're being trolled.
You guys are getting punked, man.
Are we getting trolled though by Russ? Does he really think that this is what we want to see? Like, let's be honest about that.
And I want to ask you that scuffle on the sideline. I don't know who it was with the defensive guy on your team.
Yeah, that was with Mike Purcell.
Yes. What do you make of that exchange? Because Purcell, I think he either got a flag or something, and he was just giving it to Russ. And Russ, I got to give him credit, but didn't back down. He kind of looked him in the eye and was just like, "Hey, man, blah 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 blah." Do you know what happened, or what's your reaction on that? Like, what do you make of that?
I like it, because I was like, look, it's only a matter of time before the top it's too much. It boils over. And honestly, Mike Purcell has had a really uphill battle to becoming a starter in the NFL, from being cut like 7 different times. I mean, he's been playing for he's more of a Bronco. You bring in players from other places, but then you have those players that are Broncos. Like, hey, this guy, sorry, my fire alarm's going off.
No, I was like, what was that?
But then you have those guys that are like legitimately a bear, right? Like, you're like, this person's a bear. Mike Purcell is at this point a Bronco, and in comes Russ Wilson, and a whole team has been told that we're just a quarterback away. And we have the 32nd ranked offense, the 32nd red zone, 32nd in points per game. We're 32nd in yards per game. Like, we are worse than Davis Mills. We're worse than like Baker Mayfield. Like, we're not, that's what makes this so bad. And the defense, of course, at some point it was going to boil over. And they said after, there's no bad blood. But I'm totally okay with it. I'm totally okay with people caring,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, this is what the opposite of caring looks like.
Mhm.
And I really just want some people to give a fuck at this point. It's like, look, somebody needs to, go talk to him or tell him, hey man, like, we don't care about what suit you wear, what brand it is. Like, we just want to win football games. And it's like, who do you hire to take these videos? And what does the team think about your like social media team? You know,
Yeah.
when you play when you're the worst quarterback in the NFL, what did the you know what I mean?
You
Like, what does the
you
locker room think of that?
you just know Russ walks around with like what is it? What's the word? Entourage of people like that. A social media
Yeah,
team,
he's a
an
celebrity.
assistant. Yeah, and I don't know what it is, man. Again, we've talked about it. Like, who is this guy? Why is he acting the way he does? Because
Yeah,
it's like you said. Are we just? It almost feels like we're in Russ's world and we're just living in it. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, it's my world, but it's
he's
insane how much of a
delusional.
how like he looks and sounds and has been pretty vocal about how grateful he is about certain things about Sierra, his Christianity, his religion. Good for him. I'm glad he found that. But dude, like there's an ego behind all that. There's that tone deafness that you were talking about, where it's just like you're not grateful. This isn't
Yeah,
being religious. This isn't being this. Dude, you just got an ego like double the size
totally.
of what your height is, because this, what is he, like 5'10", 5'11", something like that?
Yeah,
He's a short guy to be a quarterback, but his ego is like a 6'5" freaking Tom Brady. And it's just like, dude, you've won one Super Bowl. That's more than I can say for the Bears quarterbacks, but still. And this is the offense you're bringing, and you're still fighting with your old coach who's got a better record than you with a less talented core. So I don't know, man. You guys are definitely getting trolled or something. It just feels, I feel for you, because this is like the Bears have had terrible quarterbacks, but never to this level, I
yeah.
think.
Well, it's just the expectations were so high that
Yeah.
it makes rock bottom feel so bad. I mean, to get
Mm-hmm.
blown out, and I totally agree with everything you said. And you could even have a whole nother conversation about misrepresenting, what he believes. But I'm not going to get into that. But I will
Yeah.
say that your ego can only be big, and you can only be an asshole if you're good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just an asshole. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true.
Like
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Aaron Rodgers, to the media and the mainstream media, um, comes off as kind of like an asshole sometimes, but he's so good that everyone just kind of is
Backs
like,
it up.
okay, yeah, Matt LaFleur's like, whatever, he's awesome, I love him
Yeah.
because he's good.
Yep.
And the minute that you start playing like Russ, but you still have all those old habits with the big ego, all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden it's a major problem. And
Yep.
I don't know what they're gonna do, man. I know we spent a little bit of time on that, but it does feel like rock bottom, and it's
It
worth
does.
spending a little extra time because rock bottom only happens once a season, and it happened here on week 12.
And I also want to give credit to Carolina. They played a really good game. Darnold, uh, I said last week's episode, I was like, Darnold, Darnold starting isn't going to do anything. It was the complete opposite. Because of him, DJ Moore looked really good. The running game still looked good, and the defense. I think Brian Burns, I think is his name, Burns, one of the guys for the defense, looks really good on Carolina. That Carolina defense is good. The offense just needs to step it up. Who knows what's going to happen, but we hope you guys enjoyed that week 12 recap and Kyle's little rant there on Russ Wilson. So we hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys are watching us live, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think of Russ, of week 12, anything that went on in week 12. You guys are listening to and watching Only Football, brought to you by Star 6 Media. And what we're going to do for you, we're starting Mondays. We're kind of starting this over Russell. Well, who's that? Oh, Kyle. Oh, Kyle said Russell Wilson's a troll. Yeah, no. Oh, wait, that's you.
Fuck you,
But
Russell Wilson.
what we're going to start doing is we're actually going to start doing our top 5 on Monday episodes. So, Kyle, let's get ready for. Hold on, I'm going to play it. Hold on. I swear to God, I'm going to play it. Hold on.
It's not just me.
Oh yeah, it's not just you. Ready? And
Top five, no debating. Top five, top five, top five.
top five,
God, it's
top
so hype.
five, top five. Brought to you by Star 6 Media here on Only Football. All right, Kyle. Mine changed slightly, and I don't think you're gonna like it.
No,
But
you said it didn't change. You can't go back.
no. I said it didn't change, then I said it did change slightly. So you're like, oh god, I hate you.
You can
Let's
do
go.
that.
What a dick move. Let's start off with our number 5 pick. I went first last time. Kyle, you go first. Who's your number 5 right now?
My number 5 right now is the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow. Okay. My number 5 is still the Dolphins at number 5. I've still got the Dolphins number 5. You got the Vikings back in your top 5. What changed?
I needed to see them bounce back, and I just know how far a duo like Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, I know how far a duo can take you.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Jefferson's just on another level right now. And as long as he's on the team and he's healthy, there's no reason to, there's no reason to not believe in that team.
Yeah.
And basically, I know Cincinnati, but if the Bengals played the Vikings in Minnesota, I would take the Vikings.
Oh wow, that's I would not have picked that. I got the Dolphins. I mean, they did their job against the Texans. I don't think I'm putting the Vikings in. I think the Vikings are a close 5, but they're at number 6, I think, for me right now. But I got the Dolphins still at 5. They did their job against the Texans. Let's move on to number 4. And I think you're gonna hate me for this, but I got the Bills at number 4. I've got the Bills at number 4 this week. They had a close game against the Lions. 28-20, still a win. Josh Allen had an interception. The defense gave up 25 points to the Lions. Like Von Miller, yes, he was out. He was out, right? Like, as a Bills fan, do you want him to put on that brace and come back, or do you want him to have that surgery? Do you want him to rest? It's kind of a toss-up, but I put the Bills at 4 below last week's number 4 for me. But who do you have at number 4 this week?
I have the Eagles at number 4.
Wow.
Yep, I think there's some serious concerns on defense, like we talked about.
Okay, that's fair.
But Jalen Hurts is the MVP, and he's got a team 10-1. So
good point. All right, let's move on to number 3. Who do you have at number 3?
I have the Cowboys. I think they're playing more complementary football on every side of the ball. I like their return guy since the preseason when he returned 2 kickoffs in one game. Turbin, that sounds right. And I like that defense. I like Micah Parsons. I like their ability to make second half adjustments. I think CeeDee Lamb's emerging as a top 5, potentially top 7, definitely a top 10 receiver in the NFL. And then like you saw, even when Tony Pollard doesn't go off, the Cowboys have ways to win, and they can just kind of pull. Okay, Zeke's having an off game, we'll do Pollard. Pollard is having a bad game, we'll go with Lamb and Schultz. It just seems like they're becoming a very complete football team, almost more than any other team is complete. And I'm going to go with the Cowboys there.
And I have to agree with you. I got them at number 3 as well. They took over the Bills at number 3 for me from last week. And you mentioned Dalton Schultz in that he had 2 touchdowns in this game. They're, like you said, becoming a more complete team. Adding a tight end that is a red zone threat, it just adds to what CeeDee Lamb can do. It adds to what Tony Pollard can do. Now you have a tight end who is a big guy, who is a big target in the red zone. If you're a defense going up against the Cowboys, you're like, who do I defend in the end zone? Because they can all score. And even if they can score, Dak Prescott could still run it in for a touchdown. So like you said, the Cowboys are becoming a very complete team before our eyes. They're just moving up in the rankings for me. As long as they keep winning, they should be a solid 2 or 3 for the rest of the season for me. But I'll move on to number 2. And I've got Eagles at number 2. They struggled. Their defense struggled against the Packers. And saying it now, should I have them lower? Maybe, but Jalen Hurts is just, like you said, he's the truth on that team, man. He's the reason they are 10-1, like you said. He's the reason they're getting into the playoffs. He's the reason they're going to be NFC East champions, not only this year, several years to come. So that's who I have at number 2, even with a very sus matchup against that Packers offense, which, again, probably scored the most points this season they ever have. Who do you have at number 2 for your top 5?
I have the Miami Dolphins.
No way. No way.
I do. And I think
wow.
this is a potential this is a Super Bowl team.
Wow.
Um,
That blew me out of the water.
yeah.
Not gonna lie. That was just like, wow.
Well, I mean, Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Tua, and they can just you said don't use the word cheat code, but I think he completed like 70% of his passes on seam routes, which literally just mean that 2 receivers are going to run straight as fast as they can.
Yep.
So there's nothing unique about it. They have a formula, and when you play a bad team and you are up 30 points at halftime and it's a shutout, the defense was really good last year with Brian Flores's defense from being a defensive coordinator with Bill Belichick. He came over and he got that team right on defense. It was offensively where they had the struggles.
Yep.
And you see a lot of the same players, and they bring in Bradley Chubb. It just feels like they have kind of entered a win now mode. Tua has gone into an MVP conversation, and Miami, they might be, I would say, let me think really quick. The hottest team in the NFL.
Hot.
And
Confirmed
hey,
Dolphins.
we're doing this week to week, right? I mean, we talked about that. This
Facts.
and right now Miami is, I think, plus 150 on the road next week. And who's Miami playing next week? We'll get to that. But that is my game of the week, and Miami has a chance to make a statement on Sunday next week, and I think they'll do it. And then you'll probably see Miami crawl up into your top 3, I think.
Okay. I like it. They made the biggest jump for you they went from 5 to 2. So biggest jump for you. Number 1, I think we both got Chiefs at number 1.
Yeah, we both have Chiefs.
Yep. 100%. It's the Chiefs. There's again, what else is there to say? For 2 weeks in a row, at least for me, and well, actually for both of us. Yeah. Well, 3 weeks in a row for me, actually. I've got the Chiefs number 1. The Bills for you from 3 weeks ago have taken the biggest spill. They are not in the top 5 for you. The Chiefs are
they're number 6.
Okay. They're number 6. Got it. The Chiefs are just consistently amazing. And whether or not they struggle, they have a kicker who can get it through the uprights consistently on a consistent basis, no matter what. So Chiefs are number 1. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add for the Chiefs?
I'll just say I took the Chiefs. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes just always, you must feel so confident if that's your quarterback that no matter what happens, the Chiefs are going to just find a way to put points on the board. But a big reason that I actually put the Chiefs at number 1 again is because the Chiefs defense really showed out. They had 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 6 tackles for a loss, 8 passes defended. The defense was flying around, and I can't think of a scenario any scarier than if the Chiefs get a good defense going into the postseason with Pacheco running the ball now, or I probably butchered his name, but now they got a running back that kind of, it's almost like a receiver playing running back. I don't know if you've watched him play, but he's not a big guy, but he runs with a full head of steam. He plays a lot bigger than he is. And, it's just the running game. It's just like, wow, really? Like, how much more icing can we put on this cake?
I was going to say, like, literally the bag of cherries on top. He plays a little like Tariq Cohen did for the Bears. He's a very small guy, but man, he packed a punch. So that's our top five. Let us know if you agree with us or not. Obviously, you see our Twitter handles at the top, and then we're going to get to everything else here at the end of the show. But let's finish it off with a little bit of fantasy talk.
Yeah.
We were talking about it during the game. I actually won my fantasy matchup 136 to, let me get it here,
128.
128. And really, I had three guys going. I had Harris, I had Freiermuth, and I had Pittman. Pittman almost got me 20 points. Harris got me basically 11, and Freiermuth got me 7. So, and that was because that I was down. I had 100 points heading into this matchup. So they got exactly what I needed. And I'm just glad that they won. My biggest contributor, or the guy who scored the most points for me, Josh Allen. And that was because Justin Fields was not in the game. I also had Brian Robinson with 20 points on the bench, but biggest contributors this week for me were Josh Allen with 29, almost 30 points. Nick Chubb with 20 points. Luckily, he got that touchdown there at the end to really get me closer. Stephon Diggs, 8 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown. And of course, Michael Pittman Jr., 7 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Kyle, how'd you do?
I didn't really quick. Would you have played Fields if he was healthy?
No.
You were always gonna go with Josh Allen?
Yeah. And also he was playing the Thursday game. So I was kind of like, they haven't put a status on Fields, so I'm not going to risk it or try to get a quarterback at, very last second.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like, it's going to be, and even if he did play, I knew that they weren't going to risk running him. But also they weren't going to risk passing it because that defense I just knew Fields wasn't going to play. And even if he was going to play, he was going to be nowhere near how he's been the last month and a half.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I did pretty good. I got 128 points. I lost because Josh Jacobs, the guy was playing, he had 48 points.
That sucks.
But I can't be too mad about it. I made a couple last second decisions that ended up being the right decisions. I haven't gone with Ezekiel Elliott in the last couple of weeks. He's not a bad option. I have Ramondre Stevenson and Alvin Kamara and Kenneth Walker.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to bench any of those guys for Zeke, but I've got this feeling Alvin Kamara going against the number 1 rushing defense. And then I saw he had the flu on Wednesday and missed practice. I was like, you know what? Let me go with Zeke. Maybe he'll jump into that big red bucket.
Yeah.
And he always wants to be fed on Thanksgiving. I just had a feeling. And he had 92 yards.
Thanksgiving. I love that.
Yeah, he had 92 yards and a touchdown. Derek Carr, 20 points. Ramondre Stevenson got me 20 points. CeeDee Lamb got me 17.7. Kenneth Walker got 17. And Devontae Adams had a pretty quiet game with only 14.4, but that's still serviceable. And DJ Moore had 20 points on my bench. But overall, everybody's contributing. There was no one player that went ballistic, but every player really contributed. Even my tight end, I picked up Gerald Everett because I lost.
Not bad.
I lost my number. He was the number 2 tight end out of Arizona.
Oh,
Nick Foles, or not Nick Foles.
Not Nick Foles.
He's a long-time Philadelphia.
Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had season-ending surgery. And honestly, Gerald Everett's a solid pickup. Whoever dropped him is high on pot news. I don't know how that happened, but
high on pot news. I love that. I was gonna say, even if you put DJ Moore in for Adams, it's only 6 points that he would have gotten. You lost by 40 points. There was no one to help you there, even on your bench, even with that 2020. Was that 2020?
Oh, I lost by 40.
Yeah. There's no, you were screwed.
Totally. Actually, it was only 34, right? But whatever. Potato. But I do need to win out to probably make the postseason. So it makes the last 3 games really interesting. And so do you. The only difference is I'm allowed to set my own roster, and you have to have your wife set yours.
What a terrible deal I made. Oh my God.
You
I'm
didn't
just
tell her.
realizing. I'm literally just realizing this.
You didn't tell her that you have to play the roster.
Oh
So
God.
she could set the roster and then you could change it. She
I
technically still set your roster.
I think the only way I can get out of this is to set up a kidnapping of my wife just for this week. She'll be returned safely the next week. No, I'm just
create a new fantasy league.
yeah.
Be like, she'd be like, this is the guys you play against. There'll be a
Oh
bunch
my
of people
God.
that didn't name their fantasy league.
So if
Kyle's
anybody's
great team.
So if anybody wants to get paid $100 to kidnap my wife for a week, that's it. Just
For a
up until
day.
Thursday night. Just up until Thursday night. Um, let me know. But a bunch of creeps are out there. I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to do that. Love my wife. She's gonna pick an hopefully awesome lineup. We'll see.
You better
All
make
right.
sure your bench is solid.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like I can't even put Justin Fields. Like I have to drop Justin, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Just so she's not like, hey, let me put him in. No, don't put him in. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'll probably make some content out of that. That should be funny.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. Definitely screen record it.
Absolutely. That's gonna be funny. All right. Well, you got anything else on fantasy talk before we get out of here, Kyle?
Nope, that's all I got. I'm super excited to go over our games next week. My game of the week is going to be the Dolphins going into San Francisco. So stay tuned for our Wednesday show to go over all those games.
Wow, you could have teased that. You could have been like, my game of the week.
That was the
is...
tease.
And boom,
And
we go to break.
No one likes those. They always get
know.
mad. They're like, dude, I hate when
That's
TV
true.
does that.
That's true. That is true. Well, from us here at Only Football, go follow us. Kyle, where can they follow you on Twitter? I'll let them know after you do.
Yeah, you can follow me at FTBL Only Podcast on Twitter. See a bunch of Broncos Country Let's Cry tweets. What about you?
And you can follow me at And Now Rick on Twitter. You could also follow all of us at Star 6 Media on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe on Twitch, hit that subscribe button. You're watching on Facebook, hit that like, become a fan. Not anymore. I don't think Facebook does that anymore. I'm old. But also check out our other shows. Earlier we were going live for Big League Chicago. Check out EAFP with Eric going over all the World Cup coverage for you guys. Obviously only football, JCA Sports on Wednesdays, Sports Strip Live for all your violent sports like MMA and wrestling and boxing. 3 Up, 3 Down for your baseball fix, and then Slot Shot, our newest podcast for your hockey NHL fix. Go take a listen to all those. Go check them out. Like us on all our social medias. And yeah, Kyle, always a pleasure, my guy.
And Rick, let us know where we can catch our NASCAR.
Our NASCAR, I'm gonna hit the outro.
All right, man.
Our darts podcast is actually coming up.
I'm gonna tease the NASCAR every time you list off all the sports.
You said drag racing last time. That was so funny. All right, man. I'll see ya.
All right, see ya.